In this video I'm gonna give you some creative tips on how to flip a sample by playing it up and down the keyboard, but still make sure you stay in key with the rest of the instruments in your track. What's going on everyone, it's Low Heat, and before we get into the video I have a quick question. What do you like to sample? Do you prefer sample packs? Do you sample off records or from songs? What type of samples do you sample? Do you sample chords or guitar loops like the sample that we're gonna be using for this example? Let me know down in the comments and let's get straight into the tutorial. Here's the sample that I'm using for this example. It's a guitar sample. The first thing that you need to do is find the key of the sample. If you're using a sample pack, the key will most likely be included in the title of the sample. However, if that is not the case, you can use the Antares Auto Key app, which is a free app for iOS, to detect the key of your sampled loop. As we can see, this sample is in B minor. The second step would be to set the root note of the sample in your sampler. Or if you're using simpler, as this is the case, there is no option to set the root note, you will need to transpose it to C. In order to transpose it to C, I will transpose it one semitone up. Third step would be to choose the key for our beat. In this case, I'm using the key of D sharp minor or E flat minor, however you want to call it. And we can use a website like autochords.com to see which are the chords for this key. So I choose D sharp minor. And as far as I can see, I can play minor chords on the first degree of the scale, on the fourth and the fifth. And this is the case usually with minor keys. First, fourth and fifth can be minor chords, and this will help you stay in key. So that would be D sharp, G sharp and A sharp. And just as a disclaimer, of course you can experiment and play other notes with your sample. However, these three notes will help you stay in key, which is especially helpful if you want to add more chords and instruments around your sample. The next step would be to enable warping in your sampler, and this will work only if the sample is an exact number of bars. Ableton Simpler has this warping mode which helps you retain the tempo of the sample while playing it up and down the keyboard, otherwise it will change its speed. If you're using Maschine or other samplers that don't have this option, you will need to time stretch the sample beforehand to match the tempo of your project. Sometimes it may work without doing that. Just experiment and see if it works with your beat. So let's see the patterns that I've created with this sample. The first pattern is using short rhythmic staccato notes, which makes it sound kind of like a stab. And again, I'm only using the three notes that are appropriate for playing minor chords in the key of D sharp minor. And since we are in key, I can add more instruments and more chords. I've used this piano to layer chords on top of the guitar chords, and the chords that I've played here are matching the chords that are playing with on the guitar sample. One great tip to add more movement and to make the sample sound more lively, since we are just repeating one note and it sounds kind of static, is to add a low pass filter with an LFO or some other effect like a phaser or a flanger. Basically anything that will make each note sound kind of different. So I've used a slow rate on the LFO on the auto filter, and here's how it sounds. Adding some reverb. By the way guys, make sure to hit the like button if you are enjoying the video. This will really help the channel. And if you want to support financially, I've got sample packs and Ableton Live packs in the link down in the description of the video, so make sure you check those. Now let's get back into the tutorial. So let's hear it in context with all the things that I added, like keys, synths, drums, bass, and so on and so on. Pretty good, right? Another tip would be to make another pattern with your sample and maybe try a contrasting pattern. So with the first pattern, I played short rhythmic notes. And for the second pattern, I'm playing longer notes, making it possible to hear more of the sample. And so this enables me to create a B section. So here is how the second pattern sounds. I've added the same filter, reverb, and sidechain compression. Let's hear it in the context of the B section of the track. So this is a great approach when we are working with loops and rhythmic samples. And here is one bonus tip for the approach that I used for the vocal sample on this beat. When you have a short vocal stab or a short vocal lick, one thing that you can do is using audio tracks, duplicating the vocal and creating harmonies. So this is my main vocal sample here. I'm using the complex warping mode to retain the length of the sample, and I've copied the track, and on the second track, which is called pitched down, I've pitched it down 7 semitones, or in some cases I've pitched it down 5 semitones. So pitching it up or down 5 or 7 semitones creates a harmony that will most likely still remain in key. So the original sample, pitched down version, playing them together. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Drop a comment if you enjoyed it and if it was helpful for you. Check out this video for more tutorials and tips, and I will see you in the next one.